Okay, have you ever found yourself locked in that silent battle with the snooze button? Promising yourself tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow you'll finally tackle that big goal. Or maybe you're just looking for, well, a simpler path, something clear, actionable to make consistent progress, the kind that actually sticks. If that sounds familiar, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you. Today, we're exploring the really profound impact of simple, consistent morning routines, how they drive personal transformation, even success. And what I found really interesting about this approach is it's not about these huge gestures or like overnight miracles. It's more about the small things, right? Repeatable actions that, over time build into something pretty monumental. We're drawing on a really insightful YouTube transcript today. It's titled 5 Toi Kensang But Do, 5H Moisang, Voige 5 Koshin Thangkong, which basically translates to 5 morning habits, starting at 5 a.m. with 5 success stories. It comes from the channel Sukman Today, and it really showcases the wisdom of the motivational speaker, Jim Rohn, that's R-O-H-N.
Some might not know him, but incredible work. And the transcript pairs his philosophy with these really compelling real-life examples of how it changed lives, literally. So our aim today is to kind of distill the core wisdom of Jim Rohn's approach, pull out the practical steps from these stories, basically give you a clear blueprint to kickstart maybe some profound personal change. Think of it as your shortcut to getting really well informed on this whole concept.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating, I think, is how Jim Rohn's philosophy really underpins all these stories. It's the bedrock. He had this fundamental belief that success is not a sprint, it's a marathon you must overcome with small steps every morning. And he wasn't just talking theory. He really stressed that 5 small things every morning will turn you from a dreamer into a destiny creator. As we'll see, these aren't just ideas. They are, proven practices, things ordinary people use to get extraordinary results.
Okay, so to really get the power of these habits, let's look at someone, Chingya. I think a lot of us will see ourselves in her story, especially that struggle with procrastination. Her mornings sound familiar, right? Hitting snooze again and again. She had these great plans, exercise, read, get organized. But 5 minutes turned into 30 minutes, then 1 hour. And it just left her feeling, well, stuck in the mud of procrastination, that heavy feeling. I mean, I think many listeners, myself included, we've had those mornings, haven't we? Where the snooze button just feels magnetic.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost comical how easily we fall back into those patterns, yeah. And that's exactly where Ninga had her big aha moment. It shifted everything. She heard this quote from Jim Rohn, very powerful. If you don't conquer the first hour of the day, you've lost at the starting line. And for her, that wasn't just another motivational line. It was like a real wake-up call. Shook her out of that cycle, made her want to actually try something different.
That quote is powerful, conquering the first hour. But I wonder, for someone really deep in that snooze cycle, how does Ron suggest you find that initial willpower? Just start. Is it pure force or something else?
That's a really good question. And it gets right to the heart of his method, actually. He knew that initial willpower, well, it can be fickle, right? So his strategy isn't about one massive surge of energy. It's committing to the smallest possible action first. It's the consistency, those 5 small things, that builds the momentum. You don't wait for motivation to magically appear. It's about doing something, however tiny, every day. That creates the spark. And so Anga, to break free, she embraced exactly that. Ron offers these 5 potent but really simple habits. He calls them the 5 keys.
5 keys, okay.
Yeah, so let's walk through them. Using Anand's experience, it really shows how they work and the kind of immediate impact they can have.
Okay, sounds good. So Nunga's breakthrough started right at 5 a.m., the first key, setting clear goals. And this was about writing down 3 important things. Simple, but sounds profound. Her first action: sat down, wrote 3 goals, complete company project in 3 months, run 30 minutes daily, and spend 15 minutes with family. Specifics.
Exactly. And this really reinforces Ron's core idea that vague goals lead to chaotic actions. Just doesn't work. For Nunga, the simple act, just writing them down, gave her clarity. It was like having a map for the first time in years, she said. It turned these fuzzy wishes into actual concrete intentions she could act on.
Okay, so goal setting first. Then immediately after, the second key, awakening the body, exercise. And she described this initial struggle, just 10 minutes of movement. Her steps felt heavy. She was gasping for breath. But she did it. Heart rate increased. Sweat drenched her back. Even if it wasn't pretty, she moved.
Right. And that struggle is perfect. It illustrates Ron's insight here. Physical energy is the currency of willpower. Makes sense, right? He also said the lazy will always be slaves to emotion. But so despite that initial discomfort, Ninga felt something shift, a distinct surge of blood, like a small fire lit inside her, just after 10 minutes. It really shows that physical effort isn't just about fitness. It changes your state, fuels your mind. It's foundational.
Okay, so goals, then movement. By 5:20 a.m., she was onto the third key, nourishing the mind. Reading. She apparently picked up this dusty copy of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and noted how those words, specifically about proactivity, just slowly permeated her mind.
Yeah, and Ron's advice for this habit is so good. Let masters whisper in your ear every morning instead of rumors or social media drama. Powerful image. Through that focused reading, Inga started to realize she'd just been letting her life drift, like a rudderless boat, just reacting instead of actively steering.
Makes sense. Letting the experts guide you instead of just noise. Okay, 5:35 a.m., fourth key, visualizing the future. So she closed her eyes, pictured herself vividly. New office, holding a successful contract, laughing with colleagues, and then she pictured her family, dinner, hearing her kids laugh, really specific sensory details.
Exactly. And Ron said, quite directly, the brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. Show it your best version, it will lead you there. And this isn't just, wishful thinking. Cognitive science backs this up now. Visualization literally primes your brain. It builds those neural pathways for the future actions, like a mental rehearsal, makes it feel less effortful when you actually do it. For Maude, this exercise immediately brought this feeling of hope, something she hadn't felt in years, apparently. Powerful stuff.
Wow. Okay. And the fifth key, finally, at 5:38 a.m., adjusting plans. Ron called it the art of bending without breaking. So Ninga looked at her checklist, realized her company project goal was too big, needed breaking down. So right then she added smaller steps. Week 1, research competitors. Week 2, develop main idea. Got granular.
Yes. And that perfectly captures Ron's idea of bending without breaking. It highlights how important adaptability is, continuous refinement. You don't just rigidly stick to the initial plan no matter what. It's about being flexible, responding to how things actually are, not just following a plan for the sake of it.
So what happened? What was the result for Ninga after trying this? Well, after just 30 days, she was waking up at 5 a.m. reflexively. No more wrestling the snooze button. Her notebooks, filled with accomplished goals, not just plans, physically fitter, mentally much clearer. And she said she finally understood what Ron meant by perseverance is not enduring. It's repeating with purpose every morning. That's a really powerful transformation from just those 5 simple steps.
It really is a testament to that daily consistency.
But God's story, amazing as it is, isn't like an exception.
Right.
You mentioned these principles apply more broadly.
Exactly. They apply across a really surprising range of challenges in different life situations. We have a few more examples that really show this universality.
Okay, let's hear them.
All right, so let's talk about John. His story is about going from feeling like a total failure to someone who just wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
He was described pretty bluntly as the worst salesman in his company. Actually facing termination, things were bad, his turning point. Hearing Jim Rohn lay out the choice, continue to sleep with dreams or wake up and pursue them. And he chose to wake up.
He made that courageous choice, yes. But his application to the habits, it was tough. It was a journey. He started with 5 minutes of meditation, said his mind ran around like ants whose nest had been trampled. We can relate, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But he stuck with it. Understood the discipline was the point. Then reading, he chose Think and Grow Rich. And that led him to a key insight. He wasn't failing. He was just learning how to succeed slower. Changed his perspective.
Reframing failure. That's big.
Huge. Then gratitude journaling. His writings were clumsy, he said, but it became a cure for his self-pity. He actually wrote, "Thank you for still having a job to try for."
Oh.
Finding gratitude in the struggle.
Wow.
Exercise was his hardest one. Hated push-ups initially, but after a week, noticed something odd. A faster heart rate, yet a calmer mind. And that clicks right back to Ron's wisdom. Discipline with the body teaches discipline with the mind.
Interesting connection. Body and mind discipline linked. Definitely. And finally, planning. He learned to prioritize ruthlessly. And crucially, learned to say no to useless drinking parties. Meaningless complaints took control.
That saying no part, that seems really hard for a lot of people, especially with social stuff, colleagues maybe. Did Ron talk about navigating that, pushing back?
Yeah, that's a very practical point. Ron absolutely understood life pressures. A lot of his philosophy circled back to personal responsibility and setting really clear boundaries. John's story shows that perfectly. For Ron, saying no to things that pull you away from your goals is just as vital as saying yes to the productive habits. It's part of that bending without breaking idea, not just adapting your plan, but adapting your environment, your choices to protect your focus. It definitely requires that internal commitment, doesn't it? One that overrides momentary desires or what others expect.
By that internal commitment.
Yeah.
So what was the outcome for John sticking with it?
6 months later, he shared his story. And he said, "I didn't become a Superman, but I succeeded in not giving up, and that's the biggest victory."
That is profound. Not needing to be superhuman, just not giving up.
Exactly. The victory was in the persistence itself.
Okay, that's incredibly motivating. What about Sarah's story? You mentioned perseverance and despair. Sounds intense.
It was. Sarah's situation was dire. Her third startup had just failed. She was $100,000 in debt, found herself crying, totally alone, in her garage, rock bottom.
Oh, wow.
And it was there she found a Jim Rohn video, and the quote that hit her was, "When everything collapses, return to the basics."
Return to the basics. Okay,
Oh.
so how did she apply the 5 keys from that place?
Well, she started with meditation, and for the first time in months, she just felt her breath slow and deep and had this stark realization, I'm still alive. A fundamental starting point.
Just breathing, grounding.
Exactly. For reading, she chose philosophy, Nietzsche, Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism, stuff that taught her how to face suffering. And she got this key insight. When you know why, you can endure anyhow, finding purpose in the pain. Gratitude journal, too. Found thanks even for her old car that still ran. Small things. And then, crucially, day 45. She was sick. Really sick. Didn't want to do anything. But she remembered Ron's line, "Don't let emotions control actions. Let actions shape emotions."
Action first.
Action first. So she forced herself to do just 5 simple yoga moves and felt this wave of strength even though she was ill. That was a turning point.
Wow. Acting despite feeling awful. That takes discipline. So what happened with Sarah? The comeback.
Incredible comeback. Just 3 months later, she's pitching to an investor. Confidently. The investor asks, understandably, why should I trust someone who's failed 3 times?
Yeah, tough question.
And Sarah just smiled and replied, because I learned how to fail on time. Now, every morning, I know what I must do, no matter the weather.
What a response.
Isn't it? She got the $2 million contract.
Unbelievable. From the garage floor to a $2 million deal in months, powered by these simple habits.
Shows the potential, right? Returning to basics.
Definitely. Okay, who else? You mentioned Min.
Right, Min. A younger guy, 27, office worker, feeling kind of tired and vague about the future. A common feeling.
Yeah, relatable. What did he do?
His routine was very specific, tailored to his goal of becoming a manager, wrote daily goals like complete report by 3 p.m., read just 1 page from a self-help book daily, took 3 minutes to reflect on his manager dream visualization, basically, a 10-minute walk for movement, and planned his top 3 tasks for the day. Very focused.
So quite concise but targeted. And the result?
In only 30 days, he became noticeably more efficient, more confident, got handed a big project at work. He found that clarity and motivation he was missing. Shows you don't need hours, just focus.
It really does. Consistency over quantity.
Yeah.
And the last story, Lan, the single mother.
Yes, Lan, 35, single mom, sales employee, just incredibly busy, work, childcare, felt trapped in a never-ending cycle. But she had this dream, this deep yearning to open her own small shop someday.
Another relatable situation, feeling overwhelmed, but having a dream.
Absolutely. And she adopted Ron's habits, but crucially, adapted them. She only had maybe 15 minutes a day.
So she made it work for her schedule. How?
Smart adaptation. Her goals were like, save 100,000 VND this week for the shop. Small, achievable steps towards the big dream. Read a bit from a business book. Spent 3 minutes visualizing her future shop, did 10 minutes of yoga for movement, planned small business tasks like contacting a supplier. She squeezed it in, made it practical.
That's key, isn't it? Making it fit your life. So what happened for Lam?
After 6 months of this consistent, albeit short routine, she hadn't just saved money, she'd developed a clear business plan. She even started some online sales, saw her dream shop actually getting closer. And beyond the practical progress, she found confidence and joy again, which is huge.
That's wonderful. Confidence and joy from 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, it really underscores the power of small, consistent effort, no matter the circumstances. So if you look at all of them, John, Sarah, Min, Lan, completely different situations, right? Different challenges. Yet it was the same fundamental process. Those small, persistent daily actions led to these dramatic shifts. It just hammers home that analogy Ron used. Perseverance is like waves crashing on the shore. Each wave seems useless, but over years it can erode a rock.
The waves on the shore. I like that. It's not the force of one wave.
Exactly. It's the relentless consistency that does the work.
So, okay, listening to all this, what does it really mean for you listening right now? I mean, these people, Ningyo, John, Sarah, Min, Lon, they weren't grown superheroes, were they?
Not at all.
They didn't have some special willpower gene or anything. They just dared. They dared to do what apparently 95% of people don't do, which is just face their own maybe complacency, their own inertia, and then consistently do something small about it.
Precisely. It wasn't about innate talent. It was about the choice to act repeatedly.
It kind of reframes what success even is, doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't always come from some huge burning passion lighting you up instantly. Maybe it comes from just a small flame.
Yeah.
One that you choose to light diligently every single day through these kinds of actions.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Small flame, lit daily.
So just to wrap up the core idea here from this deep dive,
Yeah.
it really is about the remarkable, maybe even underestimated power of these 5 small, consistent morning habits from Jim Rohn. These simple things: writing goals, moving your body, feeding your mind with reading, visualizing where you want to go, and being flexible with your plans. They really are like 5 keys, aren't they? Keys that unlock that door of willpower, that fill up your own capability jar just little by little, day after day.
Little by little. And every morning, dawn itself is such a perfect metaphor for rebirth, for a fresh start. But maybe only those who dare to wake up before the dawn really grasp that magic, that potential. So the question becomes, tomorrow morning, maybe 5 a.m., maybe earlier, maybe later, when the world's still quiet, what's the choice? Is it the snooze button again? Or maybe picking up just one of those 5 small keys Jim Rohn offered? Because remember, tomorrow, well, that can be the most misleading promise we make ourselves. Real perseverance, it has to begin today. Which really leaves you with the final thought, doesn't it? What's just one small key you might pick up first? Which one feels like the starting point for unlocking your own potential?
Yeah, exactly. Just one to start. Take a moment, maybe consider which of these habits resonates the most right now. Because just like we heard with Ningyo and John, Sarah, Mint, and Lan, these seemingly tiny daily actions, they really can lead to monumental, life-changing results in your own life. You just have to be willing to take that first small step to just begin.